Tapi kita harus ke main hall Bursa Efek Indonesia terlebih dahulu untuk menyaksikan opening bell ceremony di pagi hari ini. Selamat menyaksikan.
Sugiarto, Independent Commissioner for Wana Arta Life and former Minister for State-Owned Enterprises, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and welcome to Indonesia Stock Exchange. It is an honor for IDX to support today's conference with the topics of advancing sustainable infrastructure financing through capital market and insurance growth. Infrastructure is the pillar to sustainable development, comprising of energy and water infrastructure, transport systems and buildings, as well as social and nature-based infrastructure. None of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals can be achieved without infrastructure. However, financing is a challenge because it requires careful consideration due to the enormous impact it could cause on the well-being people and environment. Therefore, planning for sustainable infrastructure may take longer and more costly than for traditional projects. And now we are very delightful where we recently joined Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative on June 27th, 2019. This is one of our strategic initiatives to promote sustainable initiative in Indonesia capital market. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia capital market has grown significantly over the past decade. We now have over 2 million investors with over 450 numbers of trades per day, which is currently the highest in Asia. And what is interesting is more than 40% of those investors are young generation below 30 years old. We have spent years building our investor base from various education initiatives. We have established 434 investment galleries throughout universities across Indonesia, in which we support with various capital market, data and information, as well as holding regular investment classes to a staggering 6,000 events a year. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, capital market can offer unlimited long-term financing for sustainable infrastructure development, as they can distribute scarce finance resources for optimal benefit, reduce over-reliance on traditional commercial banking, and attract more investors by providing attractive returns and investment diversification. Also, capital markets are heading toward greener, sustainable businesses. We believe that today's conference will bring valuable insight for us in achieving SDGs in Indonesia infrastructure development. Once again, it's a great pleasure for IDX to welcome all of you and to host this event in our iconic main hall. Thank you and enjoy the discussion. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Inarno Jayadi. Please have a seat. Next, we will have a speech by Co-Chair SDIP ASEAN Hub and Chairman Eastspring Investment, Mr. Donald Kanak. The time is yours.
Thank you, Pak Inarno Jayadi, to Pak Jam Prasetyo, Independent Commissioner Sugiharto, Ibu Evelina Pietrushka, Pak Budi Tampu Bolan. On behalf of the SDIP ASEAN Hub, I appreciate your partnership and leadership in making this conference today possible. Indonesia is an extraordinary country with a great future ahead of it. Already the 7th largest economy, it has the world's 4th largest workforce, And that workforce is a young and innovative workforce, and some of the most extraordinary innovations in our region are happening right here. At the same time, in order to enable that future, there are massive amounts, extraordinary needs for infrastructure across a vast country in all categories of infrastructure: physical, connectivity, power, and social infrastructure, education and health. That is fundamentally woven into the Sustainable Development Goals. The SDIP, which is co-hosted by the World Economic Forum and the OECD, was set up. It now has over 40 institutions globally. And 2 years ago, we cooperated to establish the ASEAN Hub with the idea of how can we help catalyze the necessary investment to finance, to invest, to support that infrastructure that's needed here in Indonesia and across the ASEAN region. So today's conference is a milestone in our work in the ASEAN Hub. We began work more than a year ago here in Indonesia, and with the great cooperation of the Stock Exchange, with the IAJI, the Life Insurance Association of Indonesia, with AIC, the ASEAN Insurance Council, and of course, I could say again that today's hosting of the event by the Stock Exchange, we're able to have this conference. The goal today is to bring private and public sector thinkers and leaders together to come up with the best ideas we can on how those sectors can collaborate, and particularly the long-term sectors in the economy: insurance, pension, mutual funds, the capital markets, because these are long-term investments, and they need to have matching long-term commitments from institutions whose job it is, whose destiny it is to provide that for this important economy. So that's our goal today. We look forward to that, and we thank the IDX for the chance to participate in this ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Donald Kanek. We still have a few minutes before trading will start in Indonesia Stock Exchange. The pressing of hand palm screen will be done at exactly 9 a.m. And we would like to also invite all the audiences to count together from the count of 10. The Sustainable Development Investment Partnership is a neutral platform of public, private, and philanthropic entities co-hosted by the World Economic Forum and the OECD, with a goal to mobilize finance at scale in developing countries in support of the Sustainable Development Goals. To drive action at the regional level, SDIP created the SDIP ASEAN Hub to operate as the platform where public and private sectors can collaborate to address regional financing challenges and scale sustainable investments in ASEAN through innovative financing mechanisms, constructive policy engagement, and knowledge sharing. The SDIP ASEAN Hub is focusing its efforts in 2019 to broaden the sources of domestic capital dedicated for sustainable development in Indonesia, such as infrastructure, and support the country to move from a development funding to a development financing approach, a transition that will enable Indonesia to meet its sustainable development ambitions. Achieving this objective will require further development of the local financial sector to ensure that the demand and supply of sustainable investment instruments can be expanded. This effort will require greater collaboration between the regulators and industry players to promote and enhance the financial sector roles in supporting Indonesia's infrastructure development, a collaboration which the SDIP ASEAN Hub aims to foster and support. The conference today will consist of a morning session focusing on the importance of bottlenecks of growing the pool of domestic long-term investments, for example, Indonesia's insurance sector, so that it can become a larger and more substantial source of private capital towards sustainable infrastructure investments in the country. And then continued with the afternoon session, which will discuss how larger and deeper domestic capital markets can contribute towards mobilizing long-term investment funds towards sustainable investment. The current capital market and existing investment instruments for long-term infrastructure financing in Indonesia are not yet able to absorb increasing demand for investments. The session will also share examples from relevant markets to increase funds flow towards infrastructure investments, both domestic savings mobilization and attracting foreign investments. We still have around 3 minutes before the opening of ceremony in Indonesia Stock Exchange today. The trading ceremony today will be opened by the Sustainable Development Investment Partnership, or SDIP, and World Economic Forum, WEF, in the framework of Advancing Sustainable Infrastructure Financing through Capital Markets and Insurance Growth Conference. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 minutes before the trading starts in Indonesia Stock Exchange at exactly 9 a.m. until 12 o'clock for the first session, and the second session starts at 1:30 until 4:15 in the afternoon. We would like to invite all the ladies and gentlemen on the front row to the stage to be ready in front of the palm hand screen. We would like to invite Mr. Donald Kanek, Ms. Evelina Petrushka, and Mr. Budi Tampu Bolon to be ready in front of the hand palm screen. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 1 minute to go before the pressing of the hand palm screen, marking the opening of trading ceremony in Indonesia Stock Exchange. "40 seconds to go." 30 seconds to 9 o'clock. 20 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, let's count together at the count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ya, pemirsa, itu tadi opening bell ceremony yang membuka perdagangan atau pembukaan dari IHSG di pagi hari ini. Dan kita lihat IHSG tercatat mengalami pelemahan, pemirsa, ke level 6.119.902. Bagaimana dengan level pembukaan di hari ini? Apakah bisa menjadi modal untuk kembali menguat atau justru pelemahan masih akan terus berlangsung? Nanti kita akan coba ulas lengkapnya usai jeda berikut ini.